Yesterday, we spoke to friends Jessica, Alan and Eliza Moore, who were fined £200 by police officers over the weekend after meeting for a walk more than 5 miles from their homes in Derbyshire.
Well, following our interview, Derbyshire Police have now apologised and withdrawn both penalties, and we're joined now by Ferrari and Nicola Thorp. Good morning to both of you. So, Nicola, this was good news for the girls yesterday. Do you think that that was the right decision?
Of course it was the right decision. I mean, what the police did, fining them for meeting up to go for a walk, it wasn't against the law. It wasn't even against guidance. And I think it's such a shame that a big fuss was made over it in a way, because I think a lot of people now will possibly feel when they are questioned by police over something that they are doing wrong, they might feel emboldened to kind of challenge that. And I think that the police have probably lost a lot of faith in the public in doing this.
Nick, I mean, I do agree with that, the more, and this has happened before, the more you impose these restrictions and then you get criticised, and then when you look at them you think, that was pretty damn stupid, and you have to rescind it, that it does undermine the sensible and very important police work that's going on. We hear, that there were at least 5 officers in an empty car park in Derbyshire. Well, couldn't you be cracking on with something else? And then yesterday we're discussing what is local. We know that the Prime Minister cycled 7 miles. He got criticised for it, but it's not unreasonable to cycle 7 miles. Everybody's on everyone else.
You've got it. Everyone's on everyone else and everybody is on edge. It has to be said, Derbyshire Police have got form in this. Remember, in the first lockdown, they put up drones to try and catch whether people had driven to local sites in the Peak District so they could go for walks. And I just urge everyone, to take a breath, because, as we've said before, we will all go back when we are through this, and we will get through this. We will come through this. The vaccines are being rolled out. We need to go back to the relations that we've had before. Derbyshire Police should not have done that. You were absolutely right in your interview with those 2 young women. And let's face it, they were initially backed by senior officers, and it was only when there was a hell of a storm that was kicked off by the appearance on your show and the media getting involved that they actually retracted and reviewed and now stood down the fines, only again because of media pressure. We need to resolve that. And as for the Boris row, the man has had COVID. For his emotional well-being, I have no... It's not as if he got out off his bicycle and signed autographs or did selfies. He cycled there. Let him have his cycle ride.
Yeah, and also we know how important it is when fighting this disease is to be fit and healthy. And like you said, he had first experience of what it was like to get COVID, dangerously so. So he's just trying to do his bit to keep himself well. Nicola, you don't look like you agree with that so much.
No, I'm completely in agreement that he has a right to exercise and everybody should be encouraged to get outdoors. I think it's really difficult, though, when we are having this rule of stay local drummed into us, but they're not actually clarifying what stay local is. And then people who might have thought that a 7 mile cycle probably wasn't local, now they've kind of got the backing of the Prime Minister to do that. And so they should. I agree with that. But again, it's this confusion over what are the rules, what is guidance. 7 miles in London seems quite far, but actually 7 miles when you live in the countryside, some people don't live within maybe 5 or 7 miles of somebody they could go for a walk with. So I just hope that I hope people are backed when they believe that they're making the right decision. There are rule breakers and rule benders, but when people genuinely think they're acting within not only their best interest, but the best interest of the kind of national effort, I hope that we don't have more police fining them.
I think it's hard sometimes to abide by the rules because they change so frequently. And this morning, we're hearing that leading members of SAGE, the Scientific Advisory Panel, are calling for COVID restriction measures to be raised from 1 metre plus social distancing to 3 metres.
Must be a fun office to work in, that one, mustn't it, eh?
It's a difficult one because yesterday we're just very aware of not buying into this kind of let's throw a load of speculation out there, all worry ourselves sick about it, and then actually it sort of ends up as nothing. I watched last night the briefing at 5 o'clock.
We did it yesterday. We were talking about in here yesterday. Oh my God, they're going to scrap. It's all being discussed everywhere. We're going to scrap social bubbles, and thankfully we said there is no proof of this. We don't know whether this is just. Is this an idea that some government toady has just floated out there to see whether or not any fish bite. Do the papers think it's a good idea? What happens? What happens? Anyway, it came to nothing, and you've got Matt Hancock saying, no, we're not going to scrap social bubbles. That was a worry yesterday. It was something else for us to worry about. Now, you've got a potential something else to worry about. We don't know if there's any proof in this. We don't know whether it's been floated out there to see whether we all think it's a good idea. 3 metres, how far away are you going to be? 3 metres?
Well, if I'm 3 metres away from you, then that would be here. I think the problem with it is I can see why everybody is trying to think of we understand how serious the situation is right now. We've got the World Health Organization that is still currently saying that it is still up to a metre. So there is just discrepancies.
There's nowhere else in the world that does 3
Nowhere else in the
metres.
world that's saying that. And Nick, that seems to be the problem, isn't it? It's like, which information do you listen to at which time?
How long do they expect our sofa to be?
And also, when we allow that it's crucial that we keep key workers going to and from work, I would imagine on some of the smaller buses, you would probably have a driver and about 2 other people if you implemented the 3 metre rule. You're absolutely right. This is because we are at a time of great distress, a great unrest, if you will, and they seize on the ideas. Yesterday, as you rightly pointed out, there was also the suggestion that we were only going to be allowed out once a week, as you rightly say, the bubble, and they were going to close the nurseries. It came to nothing. I mean, what this is, and I don't blame them, is virologists and scientists, the way to control a virus would be effectively for us never to leave our homes, to get enough food in our freezers and bolt the doors for 3 months. But you have to absolutely match that with the economic realities of getting people on the buses, getting them on the trains. And I mean, a government minister told me this morning on my show, they are not considering the 3 metre rule. That's exactly what Kit Malthouse said.
Where does this come from? Is this just scurrilous journalism? Or where is this? Every single day, we've got some other essential lie and rumour to worry about. I don't want any more in my head.
What happens is that SAGE has so many, and this is the key committee that advises the government. There are subcommittees that feed into SAGE, and and I'm not justifying it, Philip. All a journalist needs to do is ring someone who is advisor to a SAGE subcommittee who says, we think it would be a good idea that we didn't leave our homes until Christmas 2025, and you will then see that as a headline. That is what I sense is happening. But I agree, what will happen is, and by the way, the government have a lot to answer when this is all over. Philip, Holly, the media have a few questions to answer when this is all over.
I think we have a responsibility here to report things that are based on fact, because people are struggling. Like, they don't need to have that space in their head taken up with any more nonsense.
Well, we weren't going to do this story today.
Life is bad enough, isn't it? Without
This is not the time to scare. This is not the time to scare people. This is the time to tell people we will get through this. We are the 3rd best country in the world at giving out vaccinations. The supply is being ramped up. There are massive challenges to overcome. But relatively, the United Kingdom is in a good place, and that's what we should be underscoring.
I mean, there is a possibility, Nicola, that you know, sort of anyone in the SAGE office could be watching now going, we never said that. That's not what we said. It's been picked up. It's just a rumour. It never... They might be saying that, and if they are saying that in the office, that it's a good idea, no. No other country in the world is doing this. 3 metres is a push too far. It's a metre too far, Nicola.
Talking about the vaccine, because that, again, sort of this mass rollout that's going on up and down the country, there's a bit of positivity there.
You're not going to let us speak.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Sorry, did I just completely jump in? Sorry, Nicola. Sorry, go on.
All I was going to say is that I don't understand why jumping to 3 metres makes sense when we haven't been doing 2 metres since last summer. It changed from 2 metre rule to 1 metre plus, 1 metre plus with a mask. But when I've been going to the shops recently, there aren't any queues outside. The shops seem really, really full. And I think that's because it's presumed that people in the shops are wearing masks, but they're not. So not only are people not sticking to mask wearing, but they're not sticking to the 1 metre plus rule. People are all over each other. It's like we kind of need to get back to that 2 metre spirit of last spring before we even begin to think about anything like 3 metres, because how on earth are viable businesses going to continue working if they can't stick to
all of those businesses, if we are eased out, they've all set up for 2 metres. So you've got all the stickers on the floor, you've got all the perspex all organised, you've got everything sorted. If you know, those businesses that have managed to cling on by their fingernails and will still be there when we come out of this, they've all set up for 2 metres.
Precisely. 3 metres doesn't seem to make much sense. We should be doing 2 metres, and people, please wear a mask.
Well, that I was going to say, actually, because supermarkets are cracking down on their face-covering rules. Morrison's and Sainsbury's will ban shoppers who refuse to wear face masks in their stores. Nick, I was quite surprised to see this morning, because whenever I've been into a supermarket, people are wearing masks, and I just sort of think, God, I thought that this was happening nationwide.
It does come as a
Yeah, I
surprise
think-
because, again, the message couldn't be clearer, could it, Holly? But sadly, I have seen... But now, we have to say again that there are people who genuinely cannot wear masks for medical conditions. And I went through a railway station the other day and there's an announcement and there's signs saying you need to be, which I think is the right thing. But yeah, look, for everybody's safety, as Nicola was just saying, there have been people in stores. It's just not unfair. It's not fair. It's unfair to themselves and it's unfair to others. It's part of the responsibility. We've all got responsibility to get through this, and this happens to be one of them.
Nicola?
Yeah, good on Sainsbury's, good on Morrison's, who I believe are the first ones to say that, you know, they will not let people in their stores unless they have a medical exemption. But when you look at police in Derbyshire, who are stopping two women from going for a walk and having a cup of tea, shouldn't that police time be spent supporting supermarkets, which, you know, supposedly is the only place where people are mixing at the moment?
Let's finish with this one. It's something to put a smile on your face. We saw this and we love Mary. Finally, this is a video to show that random acts of kindness actually don't go unappreciated. This is 84-year-old Mary, who was over the moon to receive her Meals on Wheels from a volunteer over the weekend.
How important is having that dinner?
It's a lifesaver, love. It's a lifesaver. And the girls are wonderful. And I don't know what we do without them, love. The loneliness we've had for months now, and without them, well, I don't think I'd want to. I just don't think I could go on, love.
Been tough, has it?
It's been tough, very lonely on my own, love, but they're wonderful. They come to me and they cheer me up, they bring me things, and I watch my telly, and I praise for them over the church all the time.
Bless
Oh,
her.
Mary.
Be more Mary.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.